Yeah, I think we really started to see huge growth in our business when we started going viral on social media and then coupling that with in-person trade shows in an attempt to start getting into retail. I think the first like big trade show we ever went to was Global Pet Expo. I don't know if you've ever been there.
No.
But it is a huge trade show in Orlando. I'll be going back for my third time in March.
Oh,
And
wow.
there's a few things that I love about it. One, just the pet community is so open, so helpful, kind. You have dogs walking around the trade show. And it's just, it's fun. You're going to see like cool colors everywhere, innovative stuff happening, cool interactions and activations. But we were shocked. We were like, we are in a 10 by 10 square booth with a banner that I bought on Vistaprint and like a little sign. And we had no idea what we were getting ourselves into. And I couldn't tell you how big this trade show is, but it's oh,
Massive.
it was overwhelming walking into that place where you have, Purina has a 20 by 20 square foot and they've built a barn in there and like crazy people have spent, $250,000 on their booths, these bigger companies. So we were like, I
Right.
don't know what we're doing here. I think the first day we were there, we had the buyers of Chewy stop by and
Oh,
we were
wow.
like, okay, we're on to something. People think this is interesting. And like, we're not doing that much to make a huge splash at this trade show. We had no idea going into it what it was going to be like. But, I feel like we just kept getting more and more validation that we were creating something unique and that we were creating something important. And so from there, we started to onboard with Chewy, and then we were also branching out into more independent stores through distribution. I think as a small company, it is really important in many ways to start with independence, whether you do that sales in-house, whether you do it through a sales rep or whether you do it through a distributor. I think that people really resonate with what's happening in small businesses, but I also think there's a lot less on the line in terms of the financial requirements than, launching in a massive store. And also, launching in a massive store means you need to be tracking sell through because they're buying so much inventory. You need to be doing marketing campaigns that aren't just related to online, that are actually drawing people into the store. And so I think that launching an independent is a really good opportunity to learn a lot and try smaller things that then you could potentially scale when you eventually launch into bigger stores.
Yeah. What I think is key, what you were saying too, is just how you were starting in those local stores and they gave you the ability to test it out in different areas to determine like what the right placement is. And when you go to bigger retailers off the bat, they're more directional. They say this is where it's going to be versus you having some historical data to then bring to those stores once you get there to say, hey, it works best here or at the impulse or whatever that is in regards to, the positive data that you already saw in those local stores. So I think too, to your product and just being so innovative and different, it allows you to test out so many different factors to find the right way to go to retail.
Yeah, and even, well before we were in any larger chain, the feedback that we were getting from buyers is, I don't know where to put you in the store. And so we would say, okay, well, we've been tried out in a number of different areas. We know that we work in pet stores. We know that we work in outdoor stores. Obviously, what works best for us but may not work at scale is when the people in the store love our product and they talk about it to the customers and they're willing to put it in front of impulse, which we do still have a lot of independents who do that and they sell more than anyone. Really being able to provide some direction. When I'm in a store, let's say like an outdoor store, but they have a pet area, they have a hunting area, they have an impulse section, they maybe even have like a gardening glove department. I really push them to put it near the bug spray because that's what I believe is going to most resonate with their customers. And it just depends. Like in a pet store, they don't have a bug spray section. They have a flea and tick section. So I really had to learn about all of those nuances of my category, which feels niche, but in retail, it's really not. It could be anywhere.
Yeah. How did you convince those early retailers to take a chance and put your product in their store?
Yeah, I think that part of it is being relentless, walking in every week or every other week, forming relationships. But I also think when you walk in with something really unique and you're able to demonstrate that same type of emotional reaction that people are having online to a buyer, it is really profound. And so, my strategy now, and what I started doing relatively early in the beginning, is I show every buyer the viral videos. And I also, when I go to trade shows, I have a monitor with B-roll playing, and people will come in and they'll watch the video. And sometimes I don't even need to explain the product to them. They get it because they're seeing it in action. And that's like, kind of a give and take of my product is I can't fly ticks on a plane to Orlando and bring them into a convention center like it's a health hazard. It's
Right.
not like I own a chip company and I can sample all day, but I can show video, and video is powerful.
That's so smart. I love that idea. I think that's great for people to hear too, that have that same where it's not something that's tangible, somebody can eat or touch, but you can show the experience and get kind of the emotional attachment from that video.
Yeah, and so there were so many times where I walked into a store and I would show that video and the buyer would be like, "Okay, let me take 12 and see how it goes." And if it goes well after that, they just end up being a repeat buyer for you. And so, we were able to kind of share some of that information with these early distributors that we started working with. We created really great relationships at trade shows. We would always befriend the people next to us. I would always walk the trade show and talk to companies that were a little bit older than us, or ones that I felt really resonated with our brand or that I looked up to what they were doing on social media. And I would ask for advice. I think that's a huge thing in retail, is that genuinely a lot of like sales reps, national account people, especially if they don't have a direct competitor, which for us, we don't have. There's not another tick mitt on the market.
Right.
People will offer you advice, and people are kind. I always say your network is your net worth, and I think that is incredibly important in CPG. And so I was able to get a lot of really great recommendations of sales reps, of brokers, at least in the beginning, to help us navigate some of these things that are difficult.